So we talk about a soldier's code. We're talking about soldiers representing the apex of what we mean by leadership. Soldiers for Black liberation live by a code, family. You're never going to find anybody who's in the Black liberation movement that's serious, that has no code, that's just living haphazardly through life, floating like a feather in the wind. We don't do that. Now, consequently, this means that certain behaviors are generally frowned upon. And so we're going to go through a few of them. We can't go through all of them, but some of the most basic. Lying to the people. That should go without saying. Honesty and transparency. Being honest with ourselves and being honest with the people. If we have organizations, people should know about the money, people, how it's being spent, how much was made. People should be aware of decisions that were made and should have input. Wasting important resources. You will find that people who are involved in the Black liberation movement understand that it is very important to come by important resources. We work hard to be more creative and innovative, to find ways to gather resources. So the last thing we want to do is waste and squander resources, be that money, our time, whatever that is. We are not trying to waste important resources because we know better than anybody how difficult it is to get valuable resources. Snitching on one's teammates to law enforcement agents. I shouldn't have to say this. Theft. This goes back to honesty. So when we think of somebody stealing, we think of they stole your wallet, right? People can steal ideas. White folk have been stealing ideas from African and New African people for centuries. They've stolen objects from us as well, our artifacts. Many African forms of art, sculpture, painting are in some European museum because they stole them from us. So what we certainly don't want to do is be like the European and think it's cool stealing people's physical things, their property, things they worked hard for, or stealing their ideas. Treating members of our organizations or our communities like slaves, sexual conquests, or punching bags, exploiting the labor of our people, having sex with damn near every woman in the organization, domestic violence. And this goes from any gender to any other gender. Soldiers in our community, you will know, will not be the types that you will see participating in this. We may have our share of bad relationships and we get in our arguments and all that, yeah, but what you're not going to see us running through organizations womanizing, blatantly treating sisters like sexual objects, or women doing that toward men. Routinely failing to keep our word, family. Keeping our word is very important. It's a measurement of one's integrity. If a person says they're going to be somewhere at a certain time, they should be there at a certain time. If they can't be there at a certain time because things come up and sometimes we can't keep our word, then we should do due diligence and apologize or explain being negligent, abusive, and cruel to children and elders. We shouldn't be abusive or negligent to anybody in our community, but particularly to some of the most vulnerable population in our community, the very, very young and the very, very old. No person who says they're for the Black liberation, unnecessarily cruel, mean-spirited to our babies or to our seniors. Our babies because they are the future, they're innocent. They did not ask to be here. Our elders because they paved the way. If it weren't for them, we wouldn't be here. Slandering the work or reputation of other brothers and sisters. Gossip might fit into this category. These are things we don't do. Why? Because again, it exacerbates that problem we have with trust. If I'm going around behind somebody's back talking badly about them to other people, suggesting that a said person is dishonest, abusive, can't be trusted, what I'm saying is not true. That's going to hurt the work and reputation of that brother and sister, and thus it will have a negative impact on that individual, their family, the community they work in, and their organization. That is a revolutionary sin. And then closely related to this is failing to defend the name and reputation of our brothers and sisters. If people come to me and try to talk badly about a brother or sister who I know, who I am familiar with, I'm definitely going to tell them, listen, don't say that about my brother and sister. I know them for so and so years. We've done A, B, and C, and they're not perfect, just like I'm not perfect, nor are you perfect. And I have seen no evidence of that. So please don't come here with that. Listening to someone slander a person who you supposedly respect and know and saying nothing to defend them is egregious just as well. Hoarding knowledge, resources, and opportunities. I remember one time going out the building, going for a walk, and I noticed that this particular church in the community was having a food pantry, giving away free food, and filling up people's carts, giving them a lot of good food, I might add. And I noticed that there were plenty of people from my building on that line. And I asked them, "Did you tell anybody else that this was going to?" No, 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 no. I didn't like that. So I went back to my building. I took a paper, made a sign. I said, "Listen, if you need food, there's a food pantry going on right now." I got the information from the church and I wrote it down. Why? Because to not do that to me is hoarding knowledge. If you have information that can help people and you keep it to yourself, and you know that this information could be the difference between someone eating or starving, living or dying, healing or being sick, you are hoarding knowledge, resources, and opportunities. If you're a community organization, you got tons of community space. You have a huge headquarters. You got a gymnasium. You got music studios, and you never extend any of your community space to other organizations. You're hoarding. You're hoarding space. You know that many of our people don't have access to community space in the neighborhood. Here, you got tons of it, and you're not sharing it. This is selfishness at the highest level.